Welcome to Control and Compete. Today we're joined by Bubba Gaeddert.
Hello, so
you doing,
glad to
Bubba?
be here in the word I pronounce incorrectly the most of Scotland's capital, Edinburgh.
That's all right.
Did I do it right?
That's good, yeah.
Okay, not
Hey, what did you think it was, Edinburgh?
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh.
Yeah, I do that. My students laugh at me quite often because I don't pronounce things
So here's
well.
one for you, Bubba.
Okay.
Do you think you should pronounce it the way the locals pronounce it, or do you think you should pronounce it the way other...
The locals.
Because so if I had to say
locals.
Utah or Utah...
Oh, you know, I don't travel there enough to know that one. That's a new one to me.
But in
Actually.
films they say Utah. Like I always remember Point Break. Remember Point Break with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze?
Yeah.
Because they say Johnny Utah. And my wife will always say it's Utah.
Okay, so that's a little different from like the state name, the vernacular there, compared to like a name of person. I feel like Evil Knievel or Evil Knight, whatever. But we had in Oklahoma growing, we had what was spelled Durant, but you would say Durant.
Durant.
Yeah, or there's a Miami, Oklahoma, but it's called Miami.
Wow,
So I agree with local. So, but I don't travel to Utah enough to
so
know.
Utah, we're confirming it's Utah. Just leave it there. Yeah.
Sure. It's named after, well, I have Native American blood, and so there's plenty of Native American tribes all those tribes are named, those states and cities are named after.
So how far back then have you done your family tree then?
That's a fun question because my dad is an Uber generation tree. What's the ancestry.com? Like he's got like a high level certification in drone flying and too much genealogy because he's gone back to when my parents, my great whatever grandparents were here in Asia and Europe, and when it was Prussia. Like he's gone back to 1600s.
Wow.
So it's fun for us because we've actually seen the history of Mennonites traveling to Kansas and then us becoming ingrained in the culture there with Native American, Cherokee, and Choctaw. So yeah, a lot of it actually.
That's cool. It's very interesting.
And my wife's a redhead, so she's definitely got.
She's got Irish or Scottish in her. Yeah. Right, because you always get that. Eh? Yeah, I think it is an Irish thing, the red. Because I think even to my mum's side, it goes back to Ireland as well. I think that's where the red comes from.
I surely that's got to be the reason. Like,
yeah.
But it can't be. It's a recessive or it's a whatever the gene, a dominant gene, right?
So what I would say is though, right? Here's one for you. So my little boy got croup when he was like 2 years old, right?
Sure.
And they took him to the hospital, and it was quite a tough time. And they had to sedate him. And the lady so he's got red hair as well, not as much as me, but the lady said it actually takes more to sedate somebody with red hair. And I think that's genetic evolution, Bubba.
My wife, it takes them 10 times just to draw blood. She hates going. I'm like, I'll watch the needle. She hates it because they have to do it over. It's very your transparent skin that you have.
Yeah, very much so. We need the sunlight.
My wife's so white, she's transparent. She's Casper most of the time, and then when she gets in the sun, basically her freckles connect.
Got you. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
So tell me then. So whereabouts did you say exactly? Whereabouts was it from the states you were from then?
Well, I grew up in Oklahoma, which is just north of Texas, and for 30 some odd years lived there, and then these last 13 years we moved to Kansas City and became Chiefs fans and watched Taylor and Travis Kelce fall in love and love the barbecue.
That's a connection.
Yeah, you've gotta love the Swiftie Kelce combo, and that's literally the only good thing we track now in America is what's happening with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. We don't even know what's going on with the Chiefs football team anymore. Do
you find it quite interesting how the media portrays America from here, or do you think it's quite on point, or do you think it's quite skewed? Or
I do. Coming here, I've been here for a year now, a year and a month, and we moved here in August 2024. And hearing my students and hearing people that I work with, the expectations of Hollywood and New York, and that's a very, very common perception of the thing. But I've done a couple summers in China and Hong Kong. I've done some time in Germany.
Fantastic.
Where else have I been? Other places I can't remember off the top of my head, but different places around the globe to hear that same kind of Hollywood type perception.
That's kind of breaking away though now, I think, is it?
I would say so. Globalization with technology, with social media in the past 20 years, of course. Yeah, you would know a movie star, but you would probably know an influencer on TikTok better.
Yep.
And you would know an Instagram influencer and how they review things.
So here's one for you. How soon before influencers start getting casted ahead of movie stars for films?
We're already there, bro. We're already there.
Probably.
Wait. There's the Logan Pauls,
There you go, yep. So I never thought about it like that, but yeah, you're right, yeah.
Yeah, like that group of, that team that does that funny, so many of the influencers that were on, what's the 6-second clip app? What's the
TikTok?
No, Vine. The Vine stars that have been in movies and now have TV shows and other things like that. I mean, we've been there for a few years, but being the actual Tom Cruise of a film or whatever, I don't know.
And do you think they'll even have that again? Because when you think about it, I mean, the Tom Cruise, sometimes you look at even bands and you think, will any of these bands become the Rolling Stones? Will any of these bands become the Beatles, right? And you think, will they ever get to that scale or size? And then saying, well, when's the next Tom Cruise? I mean, you used to get Marilyn Monroe. So I've always had the movie stars, but...
It's the evolution of change, right? So this perfectly in line with, we're talking about digital things, with the evolution of change, with the calculator and the typewriter and the phone to AI now, to the evolution of change with what you just mentioned of music and influencers. I think there's only one constant, it's change, and that's part of it. And so we're totally in this constant world, especially after the Industrial Revolution, of adapting and change with technology and moving away from the stone to the wheel to everything else.
I think the best thing I've seen with AI in music was they'd done the Beatles doing a cover of Don't Look Back in Anger by Oasis, and they managed to capture the Beatles' voice, and it sounds like Lennon singing, but it's singing an Oasis song. I wonder if we're going to go through a whole revolution of going back through all the ages of getting all the old tunes back out. And
it helps that Oasis looks a bit like them.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you hear Noel Gallagher talk, I think the Beatles are a big inspiration to him. Even Ozzy Osbourne, I've seen a really lovely clip a while ago. Obviously, Ozzy passed, but it was a clip of him being in a room coming in to speak to Paul McCartney. And he came into a room looking like just a little fan. And I think Paul kind of realised that a little bit, and then kind of took Ozzy in, but Ozzy was blown away by Paul. So obviously, Beatles are massive, and all these guys.
Yeah, totally, totally.
What kind of music do you like yourself, Bubba?
You know, I'm a 90s hip-hop kind of guy.
Nice.
I jam out to 90s hip-hop. I grew up like the one white kid in many schools growing up, and I mean, I just
so like Snoop Dogg and all that, do you enjoy them?
Yeah, that's my jam, basically. Nice. Just enjoying 90s hip-hop. I like 80s stuff.
What do you like in the 80s?
I like the stuff that's on the movie Ready Player One, because I listen to that soundtrack over and over. So it's Van Halen and it's other things, or whatever I played in Guitar Hero for many years.
Do you remember DJ Hero? Did you ever play that?
No.
Yeah, it was basically like Guitar Hero, but it was like a deck.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
that was brilliant. You need to bring that back out, because that was really good.
Well, I'm kind of a desk drummer.
All right, okay. So finger drumming's big as well in Germany, yeah. Sort of going off the topic, but I remember I was talking to some guy. Sorry, I've had a few podcasts today, right? Yeah. Okay, we'll bring it back a little bit. Tell me a bit more about your career in Bubba. Tell me how you became to like. So obviously.
No, I want to talk about finger drumming. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No. Oh, my career. Yeah. Well, short version is grew up working with my dad in Radio Shack.
Yep.
And that was, honestly, when I look back at it now, probably child labor, but whatever.
Or just giving your dad a hand.
Yeah, to give my dad a hand, but it was doing inventory and.
So what was Radio Shack then?
So Radio Shack's like, Curry's here in the UK.
Okay.
It's like a smaller version with a bunch of equipment to build computers and radios and everything else. And I would liken it now to the tech store on Amazon, but
so you'd have like Betamax camcorders and things like that.
Everything. Yes. I got to play remote control cars every day and build computers, play with IBMs and Tandy 1000s.
Nice.
Just have tons of fun. So that part of our tech life growing up, my dad then retired as an IT network engineer. And my mom is a Adobe ACE certified instructor, so she's an artist in all mediums. So I just got these kind of nerdy artistic parents.
That sounds good, though.
Yeah, it's really fun. And that for me didn't lead into what I probably should be doing with the nerdiness of being a computer person, but it was kind of a wasted talent because I think I got so many, hey, can you come fix my computer? And I was like, I don't really want to do this. I will. It's
a lot of people
easy.
are like that. With my dad was big into his cars and mechanics, and he wanted me to go into the trade, and I started my career being like a lorry mechanic, like, you know, your big trucks, like, you know, you've got semi trucks, and I just hated it because everything was just huge and cold and ugly and just like, I didn't like mechanics.
I like working on cars, man. Yeah, but that was something I didn't want to do. You're talking about like a big diesel or something, right? Yeah, that's crazy. But like working on, we had like a 1972 Cutlass Supreme my brother bought. We worked on, rebuilt the engine, and I had a truck, worked on, took everything apart, rebuilt it, but I haven't touched a tool for a car in 15 years.
I don't think you're allowed to anymore. I think they make them so much that you just, unless you've got a laptop that you can plug into.
Or most of them. Well, this is funny. This is kind of weird, but the cars we drove in the States, the ones I drove were like Toyotas or Nissans, and they're very small and tiny to work on compared to, you know, America and big trucks and big cars. But I just didn't want to get under the car anymore and change the oil. So, and when you get older and you have, you know, 30 quid to your name, you can get an oil change rather than doing it for 10 on your own. So, yeah, that's. I mean, it wasn't a lost talent or anything. My brother was a mechanic for a while, but I think my brother and I, and most people my age, I'm 43, in this older millennial generation.
I'm not the oldest, Bubba. I'm 45.
Okay. Well, you're an X-Lineal or you're Gen X? What would you consider?
Gen X. Oh, Spotify players is Gen X.
Yeah, my brother's 45, 46. And lots of jobs before you're 30. That's just the route. Compared to like our parents, like one job for 40 years.
It. Yep.
And
joiner, bricky, like that's what we call them in Scotland.
Exactly.
Yep.
Then compared to Gen Z, Gen Alpha, of cause-driven lives. You know, maybe it's not careers, but it's gig economy tech, right? Like I love talking about that kind of.
So tell me about the cause-driven. I've never heard that term before.
Oh yeah, it might be an American term, I would guess, but cause-driven is. You would see, especially so this is kind of into my story of where I was working into sports for 25 years with the YMCA, with Parks and Recs and Chambers of Commerce for 25 years in the States. And I think you saw it more for me working in nonprofit world and charity world for many, many years was that cause-driven mentality, which is what charities really kind of use as our kind of sexy word, like be cause-driven, donate. And you would see that with Gen Z for sure. Their allegiance to things is what's new. So a millennial or Gen X may go run a 5K every year for the same charity because they love that charity for fighting cancer of some sort. But a Gen Z or Alpha, they may do every charity every weekend, a new one each weekend to run a 5K because they want to. They're cause-driven. They're supportive. They're open.
Where do you think that comes from?
Ooh.
But do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's good that people care. Mm-hmm. And do you think actually people maybe take advantage of that generation because of that? Because you hear some horror stories with some charities, and not everything's the best, right? But
let's go with access to family and digital on that. Mm-hmm. That's where I think it stems from. Access to family compared to our parents, maybe both working jobs, and 9-to-5 grind, come home. Read the newspaper, sit down, put your feet up.
Watch one of the 5 channels.
Right. And I think the more engaged family, for some, for our kids' age, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, I would say we're more engaged than our parents were and their parents were. Mm-hmm. But that also means because of the speed of digital and the speed of technology, you also have the digital babysitter of tech. Mm-hmm. And so the fast moving, fast learning, what's the next thing on YouTube? What is the, literally brain rot right now is actually being talked about in science on TikTok as a way for kids to learn.
Really?
So I don't know if you know much about brain rot, but
listen,
okay.
I make them up. I do my kid. I wind them up. I make up the names for them. Yeah. But yeah, that's exploded.
You mean like memeable
Papanini, just stuff like that. I don't know if it's a good impression or not. You should cut that bit out. Okay. But yeah, I do those bits with them. But yeah, brain rot's like, and the evolution of like Roblox is wild. How these can start to spawn and the new games develop, and people must be watching that all the time, trying to catch on to trends.
Yeah.
TikTok's wild.
Yeah, I love that.
Not TikTok, Roblox.
Roblox?
Yeah,
both.
Yeah.
I love that there's science behind both of those. I mean, we're doing tons of studies in the gaming space and the social media and digital space. And if you go to the game side of Roblox, I personally don't allow my kids to play Roblox, which is funny because I'm not like a Sam Altman or Eon or whoever of like the Silicon Valley who create these tools and they don't let their kids use them. But you've heard these interviews of the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world who like won't let their kids use the technology they build because they know it's addictive. If you watch things like Social Dilemma on Netflix.
Yeah, that's scary.
Or you walk, I had my family, we watched Childhood 2.0, which is by Bark Industries, and it's about child safety on the internet. And Roblox is a tool I would definitely suggest for adults. And there is so much work they're trying to accomplish with safety for children. It's just as much as a problem that Discord has, it's just as much as a problem as any video game has that you can name with internet safety. It's just a part of the challenge we have of growing so quickly, trying to catch up. And
the only one, so I would say then, I suppose, being like I was gaming, I suppose, since I was 5, right? I go back to the Spectrum, and I've spoken about it a million times. I've never, I've always loved my games, right? I think for me, with my son, it's something we both play together, we enjoy. The one that I've had the biggest scare of and making sure I don't is the VR. Reason being, once that's on the head, sometimes some of my daughter's friends were playing VR chat. So we had to like contact their parents and being like, that's scary because they don't know. To me, I don't know if, maybe one's not as bad as the other, but I think for me, the VR has been one I've been really scared of because then they're in a different world and you don't know who.
Well, you hit the nail on the head, James. It's engaging with your kids. You just said playing games with your kids.
Yeah.
That's something we have to get better at. We have to get better at just as much as throwing a ball in the front yard or kicking a football. We have to do that. And the digital side is we're overwhelmed by what's on the screen. If they're playing League of Legends, if they're playing Roblox, if they're playing Rocket League, and you don't know what's happening on the screen, but you may not know the rules of football, but you'll go out and kick a ball. You may be overwhelmed by offsides and handball and whatever.
That's fine.
But you still, nobody, as a referee for 20 years, I fight everyone on those rules and what offsides is and all the 20, I've taught it as well. So, but that's exactly what we struggle with as this time
because of the generation. The thing is, I had to buy myself an Optimus Prime skin to get any kind of value back out of Roblox, right? Because I can't play. I don't get any enjoyment from the Roblox. I'll try and veer us on to like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We'll play that 2-player.
The Fortnite skins is what we're talking about?
Yeah, well, I've got Fortnite skins. I've got Predator skins and a Master Chief skin.
Okay, those are the ones I did. I think I try not to spend money on games. I'm a very weird gamer that has then kids who I restrict from gaming. Not restrict, because that's not right, because that will just make, literally the science is that will make them want it more, because that's the maladaptive coping there.
What you can't get kind of thing.
So I don't spend a lot of money on games, because there's plenty of people who have walls and walls of cartridges that you see, but I think I only spent a few pounds on like a Goku skin, even though I don't really watch Dragon Ball Z, but it was cool. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, those just like, it just hits. Because I had Ninja Turtle set when I was like 8 or something. Yeah, that just.
Who's your favourite turtle?
Michelangelo.
Same.
Let's go, bro. Let's go, Michelangelo.
But yeah, I'll go back to play those games with it. I love it. Turtles for me was the jam going back up. I think when I watched the first Turtles film on like a dodgy VHS and it looked really bad quality. But that was brilliant, right? And then they went quite weird, and the cartoon one's not too bad. But I think there's going to be a Raphael one called The Last Ronin.
Oh, I have heard that.
That'd be quite cool.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I love the arc of different artistic style to even the way the turtles are seen, if they're a little more anime, a little more rounded, I like that.
Because they used to get called in the UK Teenage Mutant Hero
Turtles. I researched, I didn't know that till like a month or two ago.
But that shows you how much things have changed. So back in the 80s, you can't say the word ninja, and nowadays, look at the cap's off now.
Yeah, it kind of blew me away because I thought we were the prudes in the States. We're the ones who left. We were the worst of the worst who left and went over to the States, and we're the prude ones.
How weird you couldn't say that. Well, don't say ninja.
Yeah.
I've only got nunchucks and samurai swords, but don't say ninja.
Yeah, I have no idea.
And the cartoons are quite cool, the Turtles cartoons back then. Here's one for you. I often put on Transformers the movie with my kid, right?
Sure.
And we watched that back, and some of it's quite scary actually, and quite dark when you look back to those 80s cartoons. And even when I showed them Kerrang and the Turtles, they didn't like it. So I think there's quite a scary kind of cartoons back
you're exactly right. The dude, the brain inside the body.
Belly. Yeah.
I think this is, maybe it's just us in our 40s when we're rewatching movies or shows our kids.
I've never stopped.
When we're watching with our kids.
Yeah.
Like my wife, she's like, let's watch Little Women. You know, that's different from let's watch Indiana Jones. Like, okay, Raiders of the Lost Ark, probably not the last scene.
There's a
kids
few.
will freak out. And then Temple of Doom when he pulls his heart out of the guy.
Yep.
Okay, we might need to skip that.
Yeah.
But I want them to also watch George Lucas. I want them to have that kind of film nerdery as I do, just to pass that along. But yeah,
music's the best one for me.
Okay,
right?
that's good.
So I used to give, like, my wee boy was born, I'd put on a little playlist to get him to sleep with Pink Floyd, Bob Dylan, and I'd put those on. And now in the car, when I bring my little girl back, I make sure I get control of the tunes. So I love trying to give her good tunes and let her hear them and see what she thinks of it. Because some of the songs, like K-pop Demon Hunters, that's exploded. Don't know if you've heard of that at the moment.
That has exploded. We haven't got into it yet. My kids are 16, 14, and 10. How old are your kids?
So 12, 11, and 4.
Yeah.
So I took my daughter and her 3 friends home the other night, and they all sat in the back of the car, and they said, put K-pop Demon Hunters on. So I put it on, and they knew every word, like bit for bit. And there's 3 girls in the film, and they all said, which one are you going to be? And they all sung different parts.
But what did you know all the words to? What TV shows? For me, I knew like
Thundercats, Transformers.
Thundercats, you know all the songs, like Animaniacs was a thing we had in the States, Chip and Dale, Rescue Rangers.
I used to record off the TV on a little tape deck. That's what geeky I was. I used to have a tape deck and I would record it.
We are so old.
But it was good.
Why is my beard whiter and I'm younger than you?
Well,
This is American stress is what this is.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about esports, right? That's fine. We'll go out for a meal later, we can talk about that. So tell me then, when did you first get involved in like the esports? When did it become apparent to you that tell me that journey?
Well, that history of playing video games forever, playing World of Warcraft since December 04 when it first came out, and then.
So you're big into World of Warcraft.
I would say I'm a serial restarter. I'm writing a research paper right now for Rachel Cowart, and her a book, her pop culture book on One More Alt. So like every 6 months I'll play for a while, which I'm doing right now, but I'm doing it for research. And
so that's an addictive game, right?
It is extremely. But I would stop for like 6 months or a year and do other things in my life and be healthy. And then I'd say, I just really want to play again and I want to start a new character.
What is that about it you think that was so addictive?
It's completionism. So it's the completion. It's the
raids.
I think there's also the what?
Raids. Was there raids?
I'm not a raid. I don't raid. I like.
I'm guessing. I've never played it.
Okay, I like level up, and then I'm like, okay, that's fun. Let me try a new person. Let me try a new version. It's very much my personality. If you look at like Myers-Briggs, ENFJ, being a chameleon in 5 voices, or Strength Finders, I'm a wooer. Okay, there's what's the one here? The Belbin test. Have you done the Belbin test? No. Okay. There's a lot of personality traits of me as this 7 on the Enneagram or whatever. I just threw out a lot of stuff you can.
How much have you looked into that then?
Way too much. Right. My wife is like a trainer in some of these things as well because she works in ministry.
So how do you? Okay, here's one quickly. Sorry.
Please.
How do you think of yourself now that you've defined yourself? Does that make sense? Like, I suppose you could go.
I feel like it's Oprah.
No, I just wondered. I just wondered. Because but I think nowadays people kind of do look more into like, am I this, am I that? And like, do you think it's helped you understand yourself better? Why you do something?
I don't think I've ever been asked that really. That's a really good question. So.
I don't want to go too deep.
Oh my gosh, we're going to bring back childhood trauma.
Yeah.
No, man. I'm open book. It's totally good. I think it really helps. I think taking these personality tests, understanding who you are. It's funny, like the horoscope, like, oh, I'm that person because this is my birth date and this is
so that was the old version, right?
Right.
Yep.
And like, I'm that, but literally you could be any one of them.
We've always done that.
Yeah. But personality tests are similar. You could read through and see all the different letters of whatever test or what number you are. And it could say you're a 3 or a 7 or a letter or whatever, and you can agree. But if you get further into it, it does really pinpoint, this is me. And I think for me, being also diagnosed with ADHD 4 years ago, understanding I wasn't just a lazy kid, and being real, my mom saying, well, you can't be depressed because Jesus loves you. So
that's not helpful, Mom.
Right. Thanks. Okay, we said Oprah and childhood trauma is happening right now. This podcast is okay. So I think, yes, knowing yourself, having the awareness. I used to not think that ADHD was a real thing. It was caused by whatever, pharmaceutical companies. But I really think, like, knowing yourself and then educating people about something. For me, there's no neurotypical. I think we're all
on the spectrum somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, we all have little dials on a mixing board.
Yeah.
Maybe touch because this feels funny, or this feels funny, or this feels funny, or the noises or clicks or something. We all have our own thing, and that's traits. Then our personalities are definitely something where, you're outgoing, you love interviewing. I'd love doing the same. I think this is why we're probably.
I think I'm very inquisitive. I think that's what it is.
100%.
And genuinely inquisitive. When I ask these questions with people, I think I'm genuinely wanting to know. I think I find that, I like to. Yeah.
So have you done personality tests?
No, but
turn the interview around.
Fine, but I think I think with ADHD. So my son's got autism, non-verbal, right? So he's on the spectrum, right? And I think
child is that
James. So he's 12. So he's non-verbal.
Is he a junior?
Yeah, oh man, I felt the guilt trip to do James. So my dad was James, his dad was James, and I just had this guilt trip. So I had to go with James. So poor James.
The generational.
So if James ever has kids, he can call his kid Billy. I don't care, but I felt like that was a weight off mine done. But I think we're all definitely on a spectrum. And the reason I asked is because I suppose when you do know yourself and you do know your traits and you can help yourself a bit better of like things that you may have struggled with and you know why. Like, how do you organise yourself? Do you have to-do list? Do you have like
100%.
OneNote? Yeah.
100%. Early on in my marriage, it was, hey, can you make me a sheet on the paper on the washing machine? Because I don't remember if I should use cold or I should use warm or whatever I should do. I forget every time. I put in the wrong thing. So asking my wife to do it was, then I had to take ownership. I had to take ownership of knowing myself. And so every day is keys are always in the same place, shoes in the same place.
But that's good, the fact you can do that.
Yeah, but I had to create tools
to do that. Yeah.
And it's 43, so it took some time. It took 10 years ago only did I start really understanding more about myself. So you have to know about yourself, and I think touching on esports, when these kids who are the ones who don't really get engaged, as you'll hear probably from Alex this week, when he talks about mental health and he talks about belonging for these kids. The study that some of our friends have done is the survey of students saying so many percent of kids, 82% usually, had never been engaged in any other extracurricular activity or after school clubs. So having that ability to find something like games, which they all play anyways, in a safe environment with an after school program or whatever, is why we're talking about this stuff today. Esports and education is super, super important because it's the next thing, and it's not the next moral panic.
No,
it's not. It's video games are not a moral panic. They are. AI is a moral panic, yes, but it's the change we just talked about this last 20 minutes.
Love it. Good man. Thank you very much, Bubba. Absolute pleasure, buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you.